Hey guys, my name is Paul. I'm the owner of Attard Coaching Systems. Basically, I wanted to start making a few videos of ideas and concepts that come to mind, and then I'm still learning, in the hope of spreading this information and I guess helping others training become more efficient. Um, just a heads up, these videos are probably not going to be regular just due to time constraints and also just general ideas that they're just I'm gonna make them as they pop into my head. I basically jot them down, and if I feel that this is something that can benefit of others, I'll make videos when I can. So basically, this first video, the topic I would like to cover is going to be adding load on the bar at a greater rate in which we are adapting to, and how this can affect the rate of muscle gain and also possibly increase the risk of injury. So let's get into it. So first off, I think it'll be important just to cover the stress and adaptation, in specifically the general adaptation syndrome. So essentially, this is going to represent a stress and adaptation to a muscle fiber post-training of it getting larger, we can say. So this is the current threshold of where the muscle fiber's size is after we apply a stress in the form of resistance training, because this will be applying a stress to the body essentially. The muscle fiber will become damaged, recovery occurs, and at this point, the tissue has adapted and it's become, we could say the muscle fiber has become larger into which it was from where it started. We apply another stress here. We can say we had a few days rest and we retrained the same muscle group again. Again, it's going to get damaged. It's going to adapt. It's going to adapt here. And you can see over time this accumulates to progression. This muscle fiber is progressively getting larger from repeated bouts of stress and adaptation. So, going from that, it would also be important to explain the mechanism of injury. This will tie in together when I get to the end of this video. So mechanism of injury, similar concept. We could say we have a threshold of a tissue's strength. Let's say this represents the strength of a tendon. Let's say a knee tendon. So this is its threshold of its let's call it its maximum stress threshold. Max stress we'll call this. So if we load this tendon submaximal loading, we can say here, I'm just going to make up a number. Let's say we add this at 90% of its max stress threshold. If we load it at 90%, give it enough rest, its max stress threshold will increase. Adaptation has occurred. We can load the tendon slightly more. Over time, it will get stronger. However, if we load, I'll just do another so we don't get confused. Representing the same thing, this is the max stress of a tendon. Max stress. If we we can say a sudden onset injury. So if we load this over in which the tendon can handle, let's say this tendon can handle a 100 kilo squat. However, we load it with a 120 kilo squat. We just loaded the tendon greater than its max stress. Therefore, injury, high risk of injury, or we'll say injury did occur. We may have torn some of those tendons, as this represented the max strength of a tendon. So we just tore some tendons, and tearing tendons is not fun. So that would be this will be classed as a sudden onset injury. Name kind of gives it away. Or we can do an injury that comes accumulative over time. So meaning this is the strength of a tissue which going over time, because we keep stressing this tissue too close to its max strength. If we keep stressing it too close over time, let's say this is we stressed it on Monday, we didn't get enough recovery. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, because we've been stressing this tissue too close to its max strength is decreasing. The tissue is getting weaker because it is not recovering properly. We have just come to the point where we have reached the tissue's maximum strength. Injury occurs, tendons are torn. Again, not fun, not a fun time. So this goes back to the main point I'm trying to make of this video, that adding load too fast. So let's say adding load will represent the load we're adding to the squat bar. If we squat, say, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm just making up days here, and we did 105, and then we thought it would be cool and go straight to 112.5, and then we go to 117.5. Let's say 105 was pretty close to our max already. You know, if we're working like 95% of our max, and we keep adding weight, this being, let's say, 105 and 110, I mean, you're probably going to fail here. You're going to fail the lift. If we keep adding the load too fast, not giving enough recovery, we are going to stress our tissue. This could be our muscle tissue, tendon, or ligament. If we add load faster compared to the rate in which these are adapting to, what will occur? This. Loading too fast, too close to its max strength. Eventually, it's going to weaken, and we will get an injury. So, the point I'm trying to get at, we want to avoid loading a tissue at a greater rate in which it is adapting to. The rate in which adaptations occur, I mean, there's many variables. It's going to differ between person to person. Training history, how long someone's been training for. There's two. The variables are going to be beyond the scope of this video. But let's just say acutely. If I could spell it, I even know I'm spelling acutely right. Doesn't matter. You know what I'm trying to say. acutely, the rate of adaptation isn't really going to change from, let's say, between in a 7-day time frame. So if we're working, at high percentages of our 1RM, or even just training, close to, I guess, complete fail, we keep adding this load quick. Load will be getting added faster, in which I just explained before. Load's getting added faster compared to what the tissue is adapting to, therefore injury. So this is one of the points, probably the important point I wanted to make of the consequences of adding load too fast to a tissue. And then the last point I wanted to do, another consequence of adding load too fast to a tissue, and what we're all worried about is making gains with the Z's, because Z gains are better than S gains. For making gains, if we are loading a muscle at a greater rate in which it is, we'll say, getting stronger. Let's say I'm going to use a biceps for example, because who doesn't like to do bicep curls and get jacked? Let's say our bicep, I'm not going to try to draw a bicep. I cannot draw. Let's say our bicep is able to handle a 20 kilo curl for 10 repetitions. Let's say we hit biceps again, adaptation has occurred. We can now, because our biceps are slightly stronger and slightly more jacked, we can now handle 12 reps. However, let's say this represents, sorry, I'm not sure if I just said days before, but let's say this is Monday and we hit biceps again on Thursday. Now, same scenario, but let's say on Monday we do the same 20 kilo, but on Thursday we go to 25 kilo, try to perform those same 12 reps. However, our biceps have not adapted fast enough, or they just essentially haven't adapted enough to be able to lift 25 kilo for 12 reps. You'll see most guys in the gym, they will still knock out these 12 reps on the 25 kilo, even though their biceps aren't strong enough yet. However, form typically has gone to shit at this point. They are no longer using their biceps. You will see bounce at the knees. We can say hyperextension at the back. The shoulders are kind of going into the movement. So your bicep curl has just turned into a calf raise, back extension, and a shoulder raise. Therefore, we are sacrificing the gains of our bicep just to lift more weight, because we were trying to impress the pretty girl that was beside us. Not going to be so impressive when you lose your gains, or you get an injury and then really lose your gains. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Feedback is much appreciated. If there are any topics you'd like me to cover, and if I have knowledge on the topic as well, put it in the comments section and I will try my best to make a video about it. Thank you very much.